I'm Harrison Graham. Coming up on today's episode of Four Verts, we got some NFL news and rumors, coaching carousel updates. We'll kick things off with the Dallas Cowboys because, my goodness, this thing is just off the rails, so stay tuned for that. But before we get into all of that, I want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel. We got the NFL playoffs this weekend, continuing AFC, NFC championship games. We'll have preview and predictions for those, plus we'll react on Sunday night at the conclusion of those games. So don't want to miss that coverage. We'll react to all of it. And then, of course, plenty of Super Bowl coverage leading up to the Super Bowl as well. Okay, let's get to it. I'll say this. If nothing else, Jerry Jones will find a way to be the center of attention in the NFL world, even coming off a boring, disappointing season, even as teams are getting ready for the conference championship, even as other teams are hiring coaches. The idea of hiring Brian Schottenheimer as your head coach, that is going to catch attention. And Jerry is well aware of that. And look, there's a lot of theories out there. Latest reporting suggests that this is likely where it's going. Josina Anderson had a report that other candidates are being told that they will not get a second interview. Clarence Hill said this could be done as soon as today. He's been covering the Cowboys for a while. I just, you never say you're shocked when it comes to the Cowboys, but even for them, this does feel pretty shocking. I mean, Brian Schottenheimer, who's been around the NFL a while, has some skins on the wall, but at this stage in his career is not even getting like real OC looks to be a play caller. You're going to make him your head coach. You're going to promote him from your non-play calling OC to head coach because, let's face it, you were probably surprised that Mike McCarthy didn't want to return. How can you expect your fan base to care? If you're a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, why on earth would you support this process? Why on earth would you watch these games? Now, it's always easy to say that. Just boycott, don't go. Those seats are going to be filled. Opposing fans will show up. Tickets will go down a little bit. Other Cowboys fans who don't normally go to games, they'll go. Jerry's making his money, so at the end of the day, that's not an issue. But it's just so, I don't even think uninspiring is the right word. It's like, it's pathetic. In this, I kind of feel bad for Brian Schottenheimer. Like, it's not even about him specifically. It's just like, okay, even if you were caught a little surprised, you couldn't work out something with McCarthy. You have so little idea of what you want to do that you're just going to go with Brian Schottenheimer. Now, there's a lot of theories out there. Could this actually be a Stephen Jones move? Is he a Brian Schottenheimer fan and he's making the call? Does Jerry actually want to go get a Dion or do something else? Who knows? I'll say this. If that's true, that this is a Stephen move, then Cowboys fans really have no hope because forever the thought has been, well, eventually Jerry will hand it off or when he passes or whatever. Maybe Steven will hire a GM and run this team like a real franchise. Not if that's true. I mean, if he's the one spearheading this Brian Schottenheimer thing, again, it's not about Brian Schottenheimer. It's about your process in promoting a guy that's really not qualified based on who's available to be your head coach. If that's what he's rolling with, I just can't take it seriously. I cannot take it seriously. So I think this is done. I think it's going to happen, and it makes the Cowboys a laughingstock. Like, even if they have some success next year, this process is beyond flawed. It's not something a normal team would do. It's not something a normal team will do. Look, we're going to talk Jags in a little bit, and they deserve a lot of blame for keeping Trent Baalke and then firing him and that whole thing, but this is I don't know how you can even halfway defend this. You're just going to promote Brian Schottenheimer to be your head coach. That is that's laughable. That is truly, truly laughable for the Dallas Cowboys. So, again, we'll see where this goes. Okay, want to shift away from the coaching carousel for a sec. Let's talk Matt Stafford. Sean McVay was asked yesterday, about him and Cooper Kupp. And, the way he kind of spoke about them was, I thank them for the contributions. Then he later said, I want to know sooner rather than later on Stafford. I think Kupp is almost certainly gone unless he takes a pay cut. They'll probably just post June 1, designate him, cut him, save about $15 million because his cap hit right now is almost $30 million. And, Cooper Kupp can still be a complimentary piece, but he's not a dominant player anymore. I think Matt Stafford, though, who after the Eagles game said he wants to take some time to think about his future, I still think he can really play. I think Stafford's really good. I still think he's a top 10 quarterback in this league. And you could argue that on most days he's one of, if not the best quarterbacks in the NFC. A lot of the top guys are in the AFC. So, like, if I'm the Rams, I want Stafford back. And if I'm Matt Stafford, as long as my family's cool with it and I physically can do it, I'm playing. Like, if I'm Matt Stafford, they were close to pulling off that win in Philadelphia. And think about this Rams team this year. They lost Aaron Donald. Cooper Kupp fell off. They had a ton of injuries. Nakua missed some time. Offensive line missed some time. Their defense is young as hell. But by the end of the year, that defense started to emerge. Chris Shula, the defensive coordinator, did a hell of a job. Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, 2 studs. They can get a piece or two in that secondary, cut Cooper Kupp, and maybe bring in some kind of a replacement to be a complementary piece next to Puka Nakua. Like, I think this is a team that can be pretty formidable moving forward. So I don't think Stafford will retire. I do think Cooper Kupp will likely be gone, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, if you look at Stafford's contract, this will probably be something they'll have to rework or restructure. Remember last year they gave him a raise and kind of did some restructuring. Those are 2 pretty big cap hits. $50 million next year, $53.7 the year after. In 26, if they were to cut him, they could save $31 million of that. So, I do think Stafford, this is probably a year-to-year situation at this point in time. But, if you're McVay, you're kind of cool with that. You just want to know with enough time before free agency so you can figure out, okay, who do we need to cut? Who do we need to keep? Who are some players we need to target? How do we get back into that Super Bowl mix? Because the last 2 years, they've done a good job just being playoff teams because they've kind of been in transition years. Remember, it was the F them picks, and then, they've actually started to draft because they had to kind of catch up, pay the piper, get rid of some big contracts like Jalen Ramsey's of the world. Well, now with the draft capital they have and their ability to draft well, it kind of feels like they can blend the veteran quarterback of Matt Stafford and a couple other veteran pieces with the young talent they've accumulated. And with another draft, could continue to accumulate. So I hope Stafford runs it back. I think he will. I think he's got plenty left in the tank. I don't view him as a diminished product. He doesn't move like he used to, but you give him time, he can make all the throws and beat you from the pocket consistently. Okay, let's talk Jacksonville a little bit, then we'll get out of here. It was reported today that the Jags, who again fired Trent Baalke 2 weeks after initially keeping him because not only could they not get Ben Johnson, they couldn't even get Liam Cohen. So they said, you know what, this isn't working. We're going to go ahead and fire you as well. And now you would think conventional wisdom, they would ramp up a GM search and he'd be part of their head coaching search. Nope, they're still going to go ahead and hire a head coach, then they'll hire a GM. And it's just like, dude, what are you doing? This process, I mean, Dallas and Jacksonville keep wanting upping themselves. It's just embarrassing for Shad Khan. It's just such a bad look. And, someone's going to take the job. I mean, if you're Joe Brady, if you like Trevor Lawrence, you should probably take that job. But it's just like, I don't know. Does he then have hands in picking the GM, a 35-year-old first-time head coach? That feels like a tough sell. I think this thing could be a disaster. And if you're Trevor Lawrence, sure, you've got your guaranteed $200 million coming your way, all that stuff. But you got to be watching this just being like, what in the world am I dealing with? And I think Trevor deserves his fair share of blame, too, with his play the last couple of years. He has not played great, but this is just a joke, the way they're doing this. So we'll see who they can get in there. At this point, if they could get a Joe Brady or a Todd Monken, that would be a win. Not sure who the GM will be at this point in time, but it sounds like they're going to go head coach first. But, man, just a mess both in Jacksonville and in Dallas. All right, my name is Harrison Graham. We're going to get out of here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button on the way out. We've been growing a lot recently, getting a lot of traction from you guys, so spread the word. We appreciate it. We will continue to bring you guys daily videos. We will see you guys tomorrow. Probably talk NFC, AFC championship game then, unless there's major news, so stay tuned for that. And football just around the corner. Championship Sunday. Let's go.